This is a tutorial for BabySliceO 6.0, the beta version. First of all, I have to point out that this program will only work if you have an NVIDIA graphic card. Presently on my computer I've got a graphic card which is it's a GeForce GTX 670, which is probably around the minimum I can use for that software. So it's a pretty slow graphic card compared with the models that they have right now. I think it's about $100 to $120 on eBay. So that will work, that'll do, but if you have a better one, it's even better. So this is BabySlice. So I'm going to drop a data set on it. It's a spherical data set, but that doesn't matter. It's BabySliceO will take it. And you can see immediately in real time the polygons reconstructed from that data set. Well, of course, there's a lot of noise, there's placenta and things like that. But first thing we're going to do, we're going to filter out the image a little bit so that it looks cleaner. Okay. After that, we can adjust our threshold until we're satisfied. We'll be able to change that later on also, but it's the first draft. Okay. Now, we need to get rid of all the noise and everything outside that it's not my baby. So first of all, we have a few pieces of polygons here that we can remove easily with the cleanup program. The cleanup will remove all the unconnected surfaces. So I click on the surface I want to keep, in this case the baby, and I delete everything else. Okay. That's the first step. Then I can go and edit, and with a brush I have three options: remove, fill, and gray. I'm going to start with remove. The remove edit mode is I'm masking the voxels that I don't want. So it's tagging the voxel, telling them I don't want this voxel. It doesn't even look at the gray value in it. As you can see, it's a little bit slow on my machine. But that's okay. I've got here in region of interest. First of all, I can limit the region where I work, so that would be faster. Or what I can do also is I can use those buttons here: normal, fast, faster, and fastest. What it does, it subsamples the data sets, so it creates less polygons. Each voxel here represents 4 by 4 by 4 voxel of the original data set. So now if I go and edit, I can go a lot faster, and I can even take a big brush, a lot of pressure, and remove happily everything that I don't want. Okay. Move this a little bit. Now the brush is a sphere that is dropped on the polygons. And you can adjust the pressure that it goes more or less deep in the polygons. And you can see in blue the polygons that will be affected. So that's very handy, because I can see that, for example, here I don't want to touch my hand. So those polygons are not on the hand yet. And now I'm touching the hand, so I'm going to stop here. If I go around here, I can remove those polygons. They're on top of the hand. And the brush, of course, goes deeper in the object when you remove the polygons, when you remove any obstacles in front of it. Like for example here, I'm removing polygons in front of the baby, but then up, I'm touching the baby, so I'm stopping here. Okay. And if you remove too much, for example here, I'm going to remove part of the baby, something in the face of the baby. The right button bring back the what you've removed. So it's not a tragedy. You can always edit back. Okay, let's clean up this here. So I'm gonna go a little bit fast here because it's just a tutorial. It doesn't have to be perfect, and also I'm not very good at this. Okay. I've removed instead of okay, add back. Okay, maybe a little bit more here. And once you're more or less satisfied, you can bring back the previous resolution those buttons here, they are mapped also on the keyboard to F5 to F8. So this is all the voxels. And I can see my baby. There's still some noise here. I can continue my edit. And since I've removed a lot of voxels, it's faster now. Even with my graphic card, I'm able to get real time. Whoops, I didn't want that. Okay. Maybe just a little bit more here. I don't want to reach perfection. Okay, so this is the idea of the mask. Oh, I want to remove this here, so sorry about that. Now, the other option in Paint is the gray. This, instead of touching the mask, I'm going to touch directly the gray level values. And with this, I can modify the image itself. Like, for example, the eye. If I look at the eye of the baby here, the right eye doesn't seem to be very nice. There's a bump on it. So I can come in here and reduce the gray level values of this region. Let's put it pressure to 1. It's going to be faster until I'm satisfied. Again, I must mention that I'm not very good at this. Probably too big a brush. I can come in here and fill in those small holes that I've created. It's sculpting and I'm not an artist. Same thing, I can probably fix up the problem I have with my arm. There's still a lot of noise here. I can do a cleanup pass just to remove polygons, unconnected polygons. Go back and edit. Okay, now there's an hole in my arm. I can come in here, fill it up by editing the gray levels. Okay, once a polygon have been masked, removed, I cannot bring them back with the gray level, but I can decrease the values here until it matched the rest of the arm. So I could probably smooth out all of these things here. Okay, once you're satisfied with that, that's your baby. Now, I want to add I'm gonna play around with this a little bit. I want to remove this bump. You'll probably want to add a backplane behind the baby and maybe a base also, something like that. So for this, we have the projection mode. Okay, when we are in projection mode, the point of view is now parallel. We don't have any perspective anymore. And the idea is that we're gonna go, let's see, behind the baby here. I'm in projection and I'm gonna project all of these voxels. Oops, there's all of these. There's a clip plane here. I need to move my image further. Yep, still more. Okay, these. Careful not to get the harm. Okay, let's suppose that this would be my projection plane. So if you look at it now, we've projected the behind the baby. I can probably do the same thing at the bottom. I just don't want to get the harm, so I'm gonna go in region of interest and I'm gonna protect. No, it's the arm, so I want just the base of the baby. The base here. I'm gonna look at it from the bottom, go in projection and project this like this. So now that's what I want. Go back in region of interest, can bring back the baby. Okay, now I want to add a backplane. I'm gonna do this by using the region of interest to keep just the back of the baby. I can probably also clip it in the other direction so that it's limited to behind the baby like this. Let's see. Yeah, that's my baby. I can look at the gray level value of the baby here. With the F1 to F4 key, I've got the different values. F2 to F4 are actually showing me the tag values, so the masks that I've used and things like that. F1 is just a gray level. Okay, now that I'm satisfied with it, I'm going to go in edit, and then now I'm going to use the fill mode, which I can use a big brush for this. And then this is going to fill out masked, it's going to tag all those voxels as filled. I can use a big brush. Okay, let's look at the other side. Okay, fill it out here. And that's my backplane. So if I go back in region of interest and put back my baby, there's my baby with my backplane. Okay, now that would be my my shape. If I want to print that, I'm almost ready, but a few things left. Let's see, in the region of interest, if I remove the backplane, I can see that inside the baby here I have a hole. So next step will be to fill out those holes, like this. Now all the holes inside the shape are filled, but if I print it this way, it's going to take a lot of plastic or whatever the media is that you're going to use. So next step is the optimized media, where I can say, okay, my shape is going to be empty. And I can select the thickness of the wall. Thickness of 1 is probably playing with fire. It's going to be way too thin. Let's say 3, for example, or I have no idea what it would need. But this, of course, will create a shape that's going to be very fragile because it's completely empty. So what I can do, I can create a frame inside that shape. I'm going to just put one here so that we can see it a little bit better. So it's a structure that's going to be inside and fill out all the holes inside the baby. So we can actually work with different thickness of the structure itself, different spacing between the mesh of the structure, and we can have just frame like this or chambers, which are walls, vertical, horizontal, and in the other plane also. Okay, so you have your choice. So now if we go back in region of interest, remove our clip planes, we can see, and okay, this is the shape. Okay, inside of it it's empty, but it looks like this. And the next step would be just to export it. Export to file, and you select a STL ASCII or STL binary form, and you just click saved, and you've got your STL file. So this is BabySliceO.